Hi there, it's Rose Marcus, and today is March 18, 2020. Many have asked me to comment on COVID-19, so that's what I'm here to do. And I want to say that we are at peak right here and right now. We are traveling between two super full moons. We had a super full moon in Virgo on March 9. That was a real kicker full moon. First of all, super full moon is a high tide full moon. And that means the moon is closer to the earth and it has more effectiveness in affecting the emotional tides and the activity on earth. And a super full moon in Virgo. Virgo is the health and healing archetype. I call it the healing crises archetype. That super full moon was opposed to Neptune in Pisces. Neptune rules the immune system. Pisces is the archetype of exposure and vulnerability. So we have an immune system that's exposed and vulnerable. And Neptune in Pisces is quite strong. Any planet in its own sign is very strong. So we've got a super full moon in tension to Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces also represents the collective experience, mass consciousness, global experience. So we have this was the peak of the coronavirus hitting the globe, and it has been going strong since then. We have another super full moon on April 7, and that is in the sign of Libra. Libra is the scales, and often when we get a full moon in Libra, we go from one extreme to the other extreme, right? So, and that super full moon will be drawing from Mars and Uranus in tension. I hope it's a breakthrough, I really do. But know that because we're traveling through these two super full moons, I consider this a peak or a global peak. Now, additionally, on that super full moon on March 9, Mercury ended retrograde. And Mercury was retrograde a few weeks before in the sign of Pisces. So Mercury is a transmitter archetype in the sign of Pisces. That transmitter is transmitting that virus to the masses unknown, the mystery virus as it was originally called. On March 3rd to March 15, Mercury backtracked into Aquarius, and this is when the advice was to socially isolate. Aquarius rules the group and community, and Aquarius is an archetype of social contagion. It's also an archetype, by the way, of social trauma. So, again, that idea of isolation fits very well with that Mercury backtrack into Aquarius, a good remedy for flattening the curve. This is what we're attempting to do right now. And can we flatten the curve? I believe we can. Today is March 18. On March 19, we have the Vernal Equinox, the spring equinox. It's a new season beginning, so we're just at kind of the mutating the ending of the last cycle, which included the big hunkin eclipses back in January and really big stuff there. So we're just ending one cycle. We're also ending a 2-year pattern produced by Mars with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. On Friday, the 20th of March, Mars and Jupiter will conjoin. Jupiter is an increase archetype, and it's a travel archetype with Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn. The governments between Canada and the US, anyway, are shutting down the borders. Good idea. Non-essential travel being halted, stopped, borders, government measures, all of that fits under the Capricorn archetype. We have Saturn in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn right now. Now, on the 21st of March, we have Saturn moving into Aquarius for the first time in almost 30 years. And Saturn is dipping into Aquarius from March 21st to July 1st. And from July 1st through December, it's going to back into Capricorn. So Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, and it is just now moving into Aquarius. Saturn is the archetype of reality, and Saturn in Aquarius gives us a new reality. It gives us new social politics. It gives us a new social structure to be dealing with. Again, Aquarius is an archetype of social contagion. Saturn in Aquarius is about stopping the social contagion. How do we do that? By isolating ourselves. We have the sun's entrance into Aries. That's a spring equinox. Aries is a separation archetype, by the way. It's a singular or a loner archetype to a certain extent. So again, by isolation or about being by yourself or being alone, you can serve to help flatten that curve of the coronavirus, which is so rampant. Now, back to Mercury. Mercury entered Pisces on the 16th of March, and it is going to continue until April 10 in Pisces. So while Mars is in Pisces, it still is going to be spreading the virus. Pisces, the immune system that's vulnerable and exposed. Okay, so we still have that going on despite all of the measures. But with the spring equinox on the 19th, Mars and Jupiter on the 20th, Saturn in Aquarius on the 21st. Now, Mars and Pluto can join on the 22nd. So that's 19, 20, 21, 22. And on the 23rd, 19, 20, 21, 22. And on the, I have to look at my note here, 24, sorry, there is a new moon in Aries. So we've got just over the next few days a good run of stars. When Mars and Pluto come together, they are changing the format. Mars and Pluto together represent a powerful drive. It's a power play time. So putting a power play into action right now is totally appropriate if we want to flatten the curve. All right. So going to the end of the month, Mars leaves Capricorn for Aquarius on the 30th of March. And on the 31st of March, Mars and Saturn conjoin. Again, Mars and Saturn are in Aquarius are breaking new ground. So Mars aligned with Jupiter on the 20th, Pluto on the 22nd, and Saturn on the 31st, completes a 2-year cycle of Mars, a 2-year cycle of action, activation, and begins the next 2-year cycle of activation. When we get to April, we have the 7th of April, we have the big super full moon in Libra with Mars and Uranus in tension in a circuit breaking or chain breaking format, a square 90-degree angle. So I'm hoping that there's some good stuff out of that. Now on the 4th of April, we have the first alignment of Jupiter and Pluto coming together in the sign of Capricorn. I call that a seismic shift. Jupiter increases wherever it goes. And Jupiter in Capricorn with Pluto, just before that super full moon on the 7th of April, I think has the opportunity to create a seismic shift. And I hope that seismic shift will be Capricorn oriented, being able to put things on stop that need to be on stop. All right. And I hope that that also helps us to put what's on go. Jupiter and Pluto will line up 3 times in 2020. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the dates. It's like the end of June and end of November, I think. I wrote about that, and it's in one of my other presentations. But this is going to be a whole year of Jupiter and Pluto reformatting the structure and working our way through the reality to really change the belief systems that we have about what is necessary and about how we take responsibility, how we are responsible citizens, how the government is responsible, and how we do our share to support the system to do its work so that we can live healthy, happy, and thriving lives. Now, in terms of the coronavirus, it is going to be on a continuation. So we're at this peak between one super full moon and the next full moon. We're still vulnerable while we have Mercury in Pisces to April 10. On April 4, Venus will move into Gemini. And by the way, Gemini, which is Mercury's, comes under Mercury's rulership, Gemini rules the lungs and the respiratory system. So Venus will be in Gemini from the 4th of April till something like I've forgotten the exact date, 4th or 5th of August. And so we will have all that time of again, attempting to create some strengthening for our respiratory system and so forth. Now, from May 12 through until June 28, Mars will transit Pisces. And so again, we may have another flare up or another wave of a virus. And also the karmic axis, the north and south nodes, which astrology students know about. It's an 18-month cycle where the eclipses happen along. And in May, though the karmic axis will switch signs to Gemini Sagittarius. The lead, or the north node, will be in Gemini. That is the lead planet, the Gemini north node. It's the kind of toolkit that we can use for our evolution, for moving forwards. It's a toolkit. And in Gemini, it will give us that transit will be an 18-month transit where the eclipses happen along. And on June 5th, we will have a lunar eclipse that will be with Mars in square, Mars and Pisces in square. So I think that these can be continuing triggers on the virus threat. Will it be at the height that it is right now between these super full moons? Well, I think that we're getting a handle on it. I think we will get a handle on it. So at least I'm hoping that we will see some diminishing on that. But yes, it will continue to be a threat. Now, here's the thing with the Gemini piece of it, and the benefit of that Gemini is that, this is what I have to say, is that there's going to be a percentage of the population that are going to get the COVID-19. I just spoke with somebody today who came back from Spain who has it. Tom Hanks and his wife had it. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau has it. A few other, famous names. Iris Elba has, and so forth. There's a certain percentage of the population that are going to get it. There's a lot of people who have gotten it and triumphed it. They're over it already. And this is the reason why the virus is so threatening to our species right now is because it's a brand new or a novel virus. We've had viruses that have transmitted from animal to human. Those have been very difficult viruses, of course. But this is now, the problem with this is mutating now, not from animal to human, but from human to human. And our immune systems don't have the ability to combat that right now. So those of us, the percentage of the population who are going to be getting that COVID are now the leaders or the front runners who are going to be mutating the species. Do you see? So it's not all that bad if you get COVID. If you do, I'm very sorry that you are not feeling well, but rest up. I had an interview today with someone who asked me how I shift my advice in a moment like this. And to tell you the truth, I don't really shift my advice about anything. I have said all along, and this is for your physical health and well-being, your emotional health and well-being, and your spiritual health and well-being. You must always think and always operate in what is in your highest and best interest. Right now, if we're looking at the physical and, what are the things that you can do? Well, it's really very simple. Get your rest. Don't run on empty. Make sure that you sleep well, that your diet is well-rounded, stay well-balanced. Try to minimize your stress. You know, when your body is in that fear and flight pattern, you're already siphoning off some of the fuel that you need if you're going to come under attack. Now, they say sometimes the stress is good because it makes you superhuman and then you can really fight harder. Maybe that's so, but I don't know that that's all that so when it comes to something physical like this. I would think you would want to ease into it or breathe into it and relax about it. You know, this is going to be much better. Fear does no one any good. So please, you know that that there is a very real and serious threat to our species right now. But do the things that you know are going to keep you in good health. And also, you know, the emotional health affects the physical health, and the spiritual health, you know, is affected, you know, as well too. So we need to take all of this into consideration. If you can train yourself to do right by yourself, you'll get into the right groove. And when it comes right down to the crunch, then you are going to be instinctually following the right procedures at the right time. And your higher wisdom is going to kick in, your intuition is going to kick in, your instincts are going to kick in, and you'll know how to play it best. So for right now, I think that if we, especially with the Aries transits, Macron said this, you know, we have a new war to face, it's a new battle to face. That's Aries, that's the spring equinox. Let's take on this battle. It's not a big deal. 2 weeks off, you're getting 2 weeks off. Take 2 weeks off. You know what you can do with 2 weeks? How many things have you got piling up at home that if only you had the time you could get at it? So stop the worry and start being productive. You know, time is to be used, not wasted. And so use that to the best of your ability. You know, if this was Christmas and we could take our 2 weeks off and cozy up at home, we'd all be happy. But this idea that we can't go to the grocery store is making everybody panic. There will be enough, you know, there will be enough to go around. So please, you know, take the fear factor and move it to the side and come back into better balance for yourself. Take care of yourself, treat yourself right, treat your loved ones right, and be a responsible citizen to do whatever it is that we should be doing. And by the way, you know, the Gemini archetype, you know, they say wash your hands. If you want to take an extra measure, gloves are a good idea. You know, keypads, doorknobs, all these things are where, you know, where they normally say that, you know, that they're full of germs. So why not if that's going to help you out? Anyway, it's a beautiful day here on the West Coast, and I wish you all the best, and I will see you soon.